Have you ever noticed that the moment you decide something is already yours, the world begins to shift, as though it had been waiting for your conviction? Not because you forced anything to happen, but because you finally aligned with what was always available. I stand before you to remind you of a truth older than time itself. Your assumption is the architect of your reality. Whatever you claim inwardly with certainty, not hope, not desire, but inner knowing, must harden into fact. Most people live believing they must earn their blessings. But I tell you, the greatest secret is this: you do not manifest by striving, you manifest by embodying. You step into the state of the wish fulfilled and walk through the world as though nothing could deny you. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what would my life look like if I dared to assume that everything is already working out in my favor? Not occasionally, but always. As we proceed, I will show you why assumption is law and why the world around you can do nothing but obey your deepest conviction. Let us go deeper. When I speak of assumption, I do not speak of fantasy. I speak of the very force that shapes your world from the unseen. Every event you call luck, every coincidence you dismiss as random, is simply your prior assumption coming into form. Your senses, though persuasive, are not the authority. They report only the past, the residue of your former beliefs. And yet you have been conditioned to trust them more than your imagination, which is the true creative power. When you assume that something is already yours, you shift states, and states are the only reality. You can move from the state of lack to the state of abundance in an instant, simply by accepting the end as fact. But here is where most falter. They assume only when circumstances look favorable. That is not faith, that is reaction. True power is found in assuming despite appearances. Now, before we continue, consider this. If external conditions cannot create your inner state, then what happens when you refuse to let them dictate your belief? Hold that question. We are about to open a deeper layer of the law. To live from the end is to occupy the feeling of the fulfilled desire right now. It is the quiet certainty of someone who no longer seeks signs, because the sign is the feeling itself. I once told a student who felt defeated by life, "You are praying as someone who does not have. Reverse it." And when she began living as if the change had already occurred, not pretending but embodying, her world transformed. Not slowly but rapidly. Opportunities arose, relationships healed, peace returned to her mind. Why? Because she finally stepped into the state that contained the version of herself who already possessed those results. Living from the end does not mean forcing anything. It means resting in the truth that the unseen is more real than the seen. It means wearing your desire like a warm coat, invisible to others, yet unmistakably felt within. Now ask yourself, if you truly believed the outcome was guaranteed, how differently would you think? How differently would you walk? How differently would you speak? The moment you assume, the seed is planted. But the seed requires a persistence to grow. Not effort, not struggle, but unwavering identification with the fulfilled state. Your senses will test you. Life will whisper, nothing has changed. But these moments are not failures. They are invitations. Invitations to remain loyal to your inner world. Many abandon their assumption because they do not see immediate results. But I tell you, manifestation is not about time. Time is simply the servant of conviction. It rearranges reality around the dominant assumption you hold. A man once told me everything in his life went wrong, not by curse, but by consistency. Consistency to the assumption that things crumble for him. When he changed his assumption, not with hope, but with certainty, his world began to obey. not because he fought, but because he persisted. Now consider this. If you refuse to entertain doubt for the next 24 hours, what would unfold? If you held to your vision with quiet confidence, what bridges would appear beneath your feet? Keep that thought alive, for our final act will seal this understanding into something you can carry into your waking life. Everything you desire already exists as a state. You do not create it, you select it, and you select it by assuming it is already yours. The universe does not respond to effort, but to identity. Who are you being on the inside? When you act as if everything is always working out for you, you are not pretending. You are aligning with the deeper truth that consciousness shapes reality. You are declaring that you trust the unseen more than fleeting circumstances. You are living from the kingdom within. So take a breath. Feel the relief of knowing your desire is done. Feel the quiet confidence of one who no longer begs, but accepts. This is the moment you shift. Now, walk with the posture of someone whose life unfurls in their favor. Think from your desire. Speak from fulfillment. Let your assumption be your evidence, and watch how the world cannot help but bend to your conviction. You are the operant power. You are the creator. And what you assume in faith, you will encounter in fact. Act as if it's already yours, because in truth, it is.